You're listening to the 6th episode of the Product Biz Podcast, and today we are talking all about the chronic creative. And this is a topic that I love to talk about because almost all the small businesses that I work with or that I see on Instagram are struggling with this, and this is where they get caught up. So if you're a small business owner, you can probably agree that growing your business is determined by getting your products into the hands of as many people as possible. But so many people spend all of their time making their product and no time actually selling their product. So how do you expect to get your products into the hands of more people and reach the success that you want when you're spending all of your time making and none of your time selling? In this episode, you'll discover what the chronic creative is, how to overcome the chronic creative, and the role that you need to step into with your business in order to reach success. Are you ready to go behind the scenes and learn what it really takes to create consistent sales each and every month with your handmade small business? Join me, Monica Little, self-taught multiple six-figure small business owner and your product business coach, as I give you the insight and inspiration on how to better run your business and increase your sales in ways that you may not have even been aware of, so that your business can truly become what you knew it could be back when you first started. Learn how to let go of perfection, overcome the fear of failure that is holding you back, and finally start taking action so that you walk away feeling like you've cracked the code on how to run a successful small business. You're listening to the Product Biz Podcast. So this episode was sparked by my very first year running Plant-Based Beauty when I was still working full-time, but I was promoting my business on Instagram, starting to get the first few sales here and there, really starting to think like, all right, maybe this can take off into something, starting to build some confidence. And my business was still relatively new, but orders were starting to come through. At that time, I would make every single item to order. So when I would get an order of the avocado and algae face mask, this is what my situation was like. I would go to the cupboards and I would get out the avocado, the moringa, the spirulina, the essential oils. I would get one bowl. I would measure out every single powder to make one product. I would get a spoon and mix it. Then I would have to pour it into the glass jar. I'd make a mess along the way. That was inevitable. And then I would put the lid on the jar. I'd go to the other closet where I had my labels. I'd have to dig around to find a label, get the label for the product, put it on the jar, and then I would pack the order, which meant going into another closet to get the box and the crinkle cut paper and put the item in there. And then I would print the shipping label, which I had to print at my office. And then I would tape it at my office and finally drop it off at the post office. That was my process for one jar of the face mask. And it would take me like 45 minutes to an hour to do all of this work to make each product to order. And I remember being so burned out. I would be working at my corporate office from like 9 to 6 every single day, if not longer. I would come home, I would have a couple orders, but it would take me like 2 to 3 hours to make and fulfill those orders. And then I would hurry up and eat dinner and go to bed. And I remember waking up the next day, a couple of instances where I had an order that came through overnight. So I would hurry and rush in the morning to try to make this product and get it packed, because if I was going to the post office later, I wanted to drop all of them off so I wouldn't have to come back again. And I would be like rushing out the door to get to my corporate job. And it was just so hard for me to keep up. And I want to remind you, at this point, I wasn't selling a lot, just a few orders here and there. But I was working never-ending hours. And this is what my week looked like all week long. I didn't have time to do anything other than pack some orders and drop them off. And on weekends, I would plan my Instagram content. I would write emails. I would try to make progress on my to-do list. And I ended up working on my business all hours that I wasn't at my corporate job. And honestly, looking back, that point in time, I was pretty miserable, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because I want to share all of these stories with you of where I was and help you to get past that, because I know so many people are in that spot that I was at too. And that was a really hard spot. It was a lot of work. And I remember working through my entire summer this way. Like, the hardest part was working on weekends, not having time to do anything over the week and playing catch up on the weekends. And it was really hard because I was spending all of this time, but I kept wondering, like, why haven't I reached more success? Why am I only making like a couple $100 here or there? Like, I'm not making the impact that I want. So if you've ever felt this way, then this episode is for you. So what I just described is really common for most small businesses that I've worked with inside Product Biz Academy. This is unbelievably common. And if you can relate, then you're probably like most of these small business owners, including myself at that point in time. And chances are you might feel burned out and stressed out about not having made any more progress, even though you are working so many hours and you just feel stuck because you don't have the time to work on anything else. And I completely get it. And I want you to stop and think for a second. How much time do you spend making inventory each week? What % of your time for running your business is spent on making inventory or coming out with new products, which is also essentially just making more inventory? And is this where you spend majority of the time in your business? If you can relate, if you're saying, yes, this is where most of my time is, you're preaching to the choir, that is me, then maybe you can also relate to what I used to believe was true. If I work all day, then I'll be successful. And if you listened to episode 5 about becoming that next version of you, then you know that's not true. And that story I just shared earlier in this episode, I was working all day and I wasn't successful. I wasn't growing. I wasn't reaching more customers. I was working all day, day after day. But if I ever sat down to think about it, I would ask myself, what did I spend all day on? What did I even do? And I felt like I had nothing to show for it. I made inventory all week to fulfill some orders. That's it. Like, what else did I accomplish? Did I even do anything else? All those hours, where did that time go? And I learned the hard way that it's not a matter of how many hours you work. It's a matter of what you work on and the role that you fill in your business. So if you haven't gotten the results that you want, you may be avoiding the role that your business needs you to fill. So when I say what role do you fill in your business, there are 2 roles that I want to talk you through. The first role is where most people stay, and which is exactly where I was at. So there's no shame in this. And this role is the nonstop inventory maker. Someone who wonders, like, do I have a time management problem? Because they feel like they worked so many hours, but they don't have anything to show for it. Someone who wants to focus on growing their business, but just doesn't have the time. They have a never-ending to-do list, and they're not making any progress on it. And they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to grow their business, hoping something sticks without ever stopping to think, what does my business really need? And I call this role the chronic creative, someone who is constantly making, constantly working, but not making progress with actually building their business. And most business owners make this unknown but common mistake of spending most of their time making inventory. And this is a mistake, but people don't realize it because they think that creating is the meat of their business and everything else is just busy work. But the truth is, inventory is necessary, right? Like, we need to have a product to sell and to fulfill orders, but it's not going to grow your business on its own. Having inventory does not equal sales. You could have a room full of your products, but that doesn't mean you're making money. Spending all week making inventory doesn't mean sales. It's what you do with that inventory. It's how you market it and how you sell it, which is what makes you money. So it's not a matter of how much time you spend on making inventory. It's a matter of how much time you spend on growing and building your business to get more sales. That is what it comes down to. And this takes us to the second role, the role that we all need to step into, no matter how big or small, new or established our business is. And that is the role of the CEO. The CEO works smarter instead of working harder and asks questions like, where is my time best spent? What projects or next steps will actually grow my business? How can I work on my business instead of working in my business? The CEO knows that if you want to grow your business, you have to build it like a real business. And when you become dedicated to learning how to build a real business, then the consistent sales, the financial stability, the freedom to do what you love and want to do, all of that will follow. But the hard truth is, most people, they stay in the chronic creative role. And why is that? Well, if you really think about it, it's safe. It's the safest thing that you can do because it's easy and it's convenient. You just keep doing what you've been doing, so there's no hard challenges to face. It's in your comfort zone. You spend all of your time making inventory, making yourself too busy for anything else because you might not really want to put in the work. Because if you put in the work, well, what if it doesn't work out? What if it's all for nothing? What if I fail? If you stay in the chronic creative role, you don't have to face anything new or face any of your fears. But you also don't get to see the growth, the sales, the financial security, the freedom, or the impact that you want. You don't get to see yourself leaving your full-time job to work on your business. You don't get to see yourself having consistent sales and feeling financially secure to the point that you can support yourself and your family. You don't get to see yourself having the freedom to do what you want with your time because instead you're still playing small at the same full-time job, burned out from doing both of them, and you're not stepping into the CEO role of your business to make things happen. Not all roles are created equal. So if you're not spending time in the CEO role of your business, well, then who is? And most likely it's no one. And maybe that's why you haven't received the results that you're hoping for. So the first step to becoming the CEO of your business is to work on your business instead of in your business. When you work in your business, you're an employee. You're the chronic creative. You're spending hours each day making items to order with a never-ending to-do list that's not getting accomplished. But when you work on your business, you know that you have to create the time to focus on projects that will lead to sales. You have to focus on marketing. You have to focus on selling. You have to find a way to spend the least amount of time on inventory as possible. Because how do you expect to get consistent sales if you spend almost all of your time making inventory and almost no time on marketing or selling or building your business? And that is what it comes down to. And I know that as makers, we want to make. We have handmade products. This is what we love to do. But this is where the distinction between a hobby or a business comes in. If you love to make, and that is your passion, and you want to do that all day, every day, that's okay. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to grow this into a business, if you want this to be your full-time job, if you want it to have the income and the stability to support you and your family, you have to treat it like a business. Because if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to cost you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it's going to pay you like a business. And when you have a business, someone needs to be in that CEO role. And if it's not you, then maybe that's why things just aren't working out. And for me, the very first step out of the chronic creative was creating some backstock and a good amount of it. And this is such an easy first step for managing inventory, but it's not the only step. If you don't have backstock right now, if you make everything to order, that's slowing you down 100%, 1,000%. So you have to make backstock. Now, people get into the problem because they have 1,200 different SKUs, and how do you make backstock of 1,200 different SKUs? Well, that's another conversation that we need to have on another day. There are so many ways to operationalize your inventory to make it as easy as possible on you, and that is a goal. Inventory should be easy. Inventory should be less than 20% of your time. And I teach you all of this inside Product Biz Academy. Learning how to manage inventory is a requirement to stepping into the CEO role of your business because it will give you back the time to actually work on your business. Learn how to manage your inventory. And if you think about large companies, they have entire departments that are dedicated to inventory management because of how important this role is to building your business. And I actually went to school for supply chain management, which is all about operations, inventory, procurement, how to be efficient, and all of those different aspects. This is like a big fundamental part of so many businesses that people don't realize how impactful it will be. So if you're making inventory without knowing how to manage inventory, like I did, every single order was made custom to order. Well, it's really like filling a bucket that has a hole at the bottom. You can fill the bucket up with all the inventory that you want, but you'll end up spending all of your time trying to fill it up and fill it up and fill it up, wondering why you have no time to spare and also haven't had any time to grow your business or do anything else outside of making inventory. Well, there's a hole in that bucket, so all the water that you're putting in is just coming right back out. Learning how to manage your inventory is like fixing the hole at the bottom so it easily fills up. And then you'll actually have the time to build your business and create consistent sales. And that is the very first step of stepping into the CEO role of your business. So I'd love to know if you are ready for the challenge and to start stepping into that role. Thank you so much for being here with me today on episode number 6 of the Product Biz Podcast. Want to remind you, of course, to follow me on Instagram at Monica Little Coaching and send me a DM or share a screenshot of this episode if this resonated with you. And thank you for spending your time with me today. I do not take that lightly. I know there's a ton of podcasts out there that you could be listening to. So the fact that you are here with me means so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here inside the Product Biz Podcast. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe and to leave a 5-star review. And if you're interested in learning more about Product Biz Academy, my signature group coaching program for handmade small business owners like you who are looking to create consistent online sales with their business, then go to theproductbizpodcast.com to join the waitlist. Doors are currently closed, but you'll be first notified when they reopen. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Product Biz Podcast.